Hi everyone and welcome back to Train for Aptitude. We have been discussing the problems on clocks. We look at the eighth concept in this series today. The problem requires us to find a specific time between 4 and 5 o'clock when the two hands are pointing in opposite direction. We have to choose from these options. If we visualize the current time at 4 o'clock, we find that the hour hand is pointing at 4 while the minutes hand is pointing at 12. They are separated by 20 minute spaces. We know that the hour hand can only travel between 4 and 5 and therefore it would not be able to cover a separation of 180 degrees from 12 o'clock, that is, it would be pointing at 6. Instead, the minutes hand has to move past the hour hand and point at a different time, and therefore it has to cover more than 30 minutes in addition to the 20 that already separates them. So the total degree of separation would be 50 minute spaces. To solve the problem, we begin with calculating what 1 minute space is equivalent to in minutes. Then we look at what the initial degree of separation between the minute hand and the hour hand is. We calculate the total number of minute spaces that are to be covered by the minutes hand because it is behind the hour hand at this point of time, that is 50 minute spaces. Then we convert these 50 minute spaces to the equivalent minutes, which is 54 6 by 11 minutes, and then adjust it to the time from 4 o'clock. That is, the answer is 54 6 by 11 minutes past 4 when the two hands would be pointing in opposite directions. The first step in generalization is to find the equivalent of what 1 minute space is. It will always be 60 by 55 minutes. In the problem, we looked at the hour hand being at 4 and the minutes hand at 12 and said the difference is 20 minute spaces. If we look at a general case when the time is A o'clock, that is, hour hand would be at A and the minutes hand would be at 12. Let us assume the difference then would be K minute spaces in the clockwise direction. In this specific case, the minute hand has to cross the hour hand and then it points in the opposite direction. In such a case, the degrees of separation would be 180 degrees or 30 minute spaces, and we will have to add it as 30 minute spaces plus the k minute spaces that we determined in step 2. Note here that the hour hand is pointing at a number lesser than 6. And that is when this would apply. If the hour hand points at a number greater than 6, then we do not have to complicate it as much. Having identified the actual minute space that need to be covered, in this case let us assume it is 30 plus k minute spaces, we multiply it into 60 by 55 to get an answer t minutes. We have already calculated the time t minutes that it has to travel, but this is after pointing at A o'clock, and therefore the answer is t minutes past A. Thank you for watching Train for Aptitude. Encourage us by subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking the Facebook page. You could also catch us on our website trainforaptitude.in.